Hi there, thought we'd talk about a film called School's Out Forever. School's Out Forever is a film that was new at the time of doing this video, February 2021, and it was billed as a sort of horror comedy. It is not a horror comedy. There are very few comedic elements to it. Whilst there are light moments in the script, it is not a comedy, and there are very few horror elements in it, other than the fact that it's set during a viral sort of apocalypse, much worse than the COVID-19 outbreak. It's a virus where basically if you haven't got an O type blood group, you die within days, weeks of getting it, and the world wiped out in about 3 weeks. A boy who was at a posh school got expelled just at the start of the outbreak. His dad dies, his mum's a soldier in Iraq, she can't get back. So during the peak of the apocalypse, about 3 weeks in, his mum calls him on the phone from Iraq and says, "You've got to go to the school where it's safe and there'll be other children." So he goes off there, dodging sort of feral people in the meantime, and he finds that there's other kids and a teacher there. And very soon, this is all within the first sort of 10-15 minutes by the way, he encounters people from the nearby village with shotguns, sort of farmers and that. Young girl comes in with a person looking for someone who they claim is a thief, and they start shooting up the place, and the girl gets paralysed and the guy that's with her gets killed, and it turns out that the people they were chasing had stolen a can of beans. Now, spoilers from this point onwards, because I appreciate that's the first bit of the film, the setup, and anything else you might want to watch. What you then have is they go off, find out that the people running the local village is Samantha Bond. She was a local sort of parish councillor, which I think we'll meant to chuckle at, but by that point the film's a bit grim, so you just kind of go, okay. And she sort of mobilised people, and they're executing people in fields, and they're doing a sort of martial law, but they're very, very brutal with it. Obviously they're going to shoot someone for stealing a can of beans. It's her daughter that was paralysed, and she's looking for her. Causes a siege at the school that results in a sort of shootout. It reminds you of things such as Red Dawn, Toy Soldiers, even say Slaughterhouse Rules. It was out not so long ago. It's an okay film, but it is certainly not a comedy or a horror film. It is a dramatic film through and through. There's some violence in it, doesn't shy away from that. I think the siege and attack on the school at the end are the best parts of it, and that should have been a bit longer or a bit more drawn out, because I guess there's budgetary constraints, but it was really well handled. The way that the siege goes ahead is not Home Alone style. They don't defend it like that, and it's not as extreme as in You're Next, where every single trap works perfectly. You know, things happen as they might very well happen in real life, and it makes it all the more tense, and it's a shame that tension wasn't carried out through a larger sequence. The way people act, you kind of agree with, which I think is good. It shows it's good writing. It was directed really well. The only trouble I had with it really was it's about 10 minutes too long, and they could pull that out somewhere in the middle. There's a real problem with the ending of the film, with how the main character we're following acts in the final shootout. He ends up killing his friend because his friend's gone a bit balmy and wants to kill people. But they build up the film to the point where they show that Samantha Bond's character is brutal, is killing people, has no moral value. She is holding children hostage and will kill them. You're in a sort of situation where there's total war, and his friend is trying to protect children, but this kid just shoots his mate instead, and they keep Samantha Bond hostage and keep her alive. It just didn't feel right with all the build-up. I think they maybe should have put a bit more moral debate in it, let's say, than they do. The trouble with the film is that the topics covered in it, and the way people react, in England at least, to a sort of deadly viral outbreak that causes an apocalypse, has already been dealt with in relatively recent times through a BBC series called Survivors, which I think is available on Amazon Prime. It comes on and off Amazon Prime for free. That covers all the same points that are addressed in this film, and I think better, to be honest. They face local despots. They face, violence and hoarding and people turning feral. And I would say probably, if it's on for free, watch that instead of paying for this. It's on streaming to watch, not free. You got to pay a couple of quid, but not a lot at the moment. I'm sure it'll be on streaming very quickly for free. It doesn't star Anthony Head. He's on the posters. He's in it literally for 3 minutes. Steve Oram, his name's attached to it. He is in it for even less time. But it's got a good enough cast. The kids act really well. And I say, if you want something about a viral outbreak that goes very badly wrong, and people in desperate times, then you can give it a watch. It was entertaining and it killed sort of an hour and 45 minutes, but I wish it only killed an hour and a half. That's the best way to put it. Let me know what you think about it. I understand it's based on a book series. Didn't realise that until I looked it up on Wikipedia afterwards. But look, please feel free to like and subscribe, and thanks for watching.